It's the world. I'm MPE world. The Madden NFL Curse. About touchdown. Shout out touchdown. If y'all don't know, if you on the Madden cover, you're probably gonna get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Unless they put me on there, I'll beat the odds. You know what I'm saying?
Something strange has been going on in the NFL. A curse. It's said that when a player appears on the cover of Madden, their career is instantly ruined. And
I wouldn't say
young
instantly
Garrison
ruined,
Hurst didn't know it yet, but he'd be the first victim. September 6th, 1998. The 49ers were going up against the New York Jets in an overtime thriller.
All right,
The
so this
score's
the first
tied
one.
30-30. Whoever scores next wins the game. The 49ers snap and hand the ball off to Garrison Hurst, all the way back in their own end zone. What many thought would be a typical running play turned into one of the greatest plays in NFL history. Garrison took that snap
Damn.
and ran the ball 96 yards for a walk-off touchdown, ending the game right then and there.
Damn,
And with
bro.
that play, Garrison solidified himself as a star in the NFL and became Madden's first ever cover athlete. But just 4 months later, it happened. The 49ers were playing against the Falcons in the playoffs, fighting for a chance at the
Steve
Super Bowl.
Mariucci.
It was the first play of the game. The 49ers snapped, handed the ball off to Garrison, and the world was ready to watch another historic moment. And they got a historic moment, but I don't think it's what people expected. Garrison tried to spin out of a tackle, and his cleat
Ew, nigga!
caught in the turf, causing his leg to snap. Garrison went through the entire recovery process, but things were never the same. Following surgery, Garrison had circulation issues, cutting off the blood supply to his leg,
Fuck.
causing the talus bone in his foot to die, officially forcing him into retirement, and becoming the first ever victim of the Madden Curse.
Damn, I hate
know
when
you're
shit like that
thinking,
happen.
That's just one example. What about the 22 other cover athletes? Did the curse affect them? Like, surely this was just a coincidence, right? That's what the NFL thought until the next year. Coming into 1999, Madden needed a new cover athlete. And around this time, Barry Sanders was dominating the league all throughout the 90s.
OG Barry
He was
Sanders.
putting up some of the greatest numbers in NFL history.
He the
rushed
best
for
RB to
around
me.
1,500 yards each season and was being called one of the greatest running backs ever. So, Barry was blessed with the Madden 2000 cover. But that's when the unexpected happened. At the peak of his career, Barry just vanished. He wasn't answering any phone calls. He wouldn't respond to coaches or teammates. No one knew what was going on until an ominous farewell letter popped up in the news.
He retired.
Saying nothing more than, "My desire to exit the game is greater than my desire to remain in it."
You gotta respect
Marking
it.
the end of his legendary career. This made literally no sense. Who just retires out of nowhere at the peak of their career? At the time, this Madden curse wasn't a well-known topic. It's not something people were speculating about. But looking back now, it's almost like Barry saw what happened to Garrison Hurst the year before and decided to call it quits.
Why he
before
keep
something
putting that
terrible
noise in
happened
there?
to him. Madden was then forced to change their cover athlete to Dorsey Levens, who ended up suffering a nagging injury. So it looked like Barry might have been right. But how much truth is there to this? Is this curse real, or was Barry just crazy? Well, it looks like Barry made the right choice. Let me show you why. 2002, Dante Culpepper. 2003, Marshall
So what happened to
Faulk.
Eddie George?
2004, Michael Vick. 2005, Ray Lewis. 2006, Donovan McNabb. 2007, Sean Alexander. Every single one of those players were the cover athlete for Madden. And that same year, every one of them suffered near career-ending injuries.
That is weird as
These
fuck.
guys were all at the top of their careers, and the worst thing possible happened to each of them. At this point, the Madden curse started dominating the news.
Everybody talks about this Madden curse, and
Now, Michael Vick, well, he graced the Madden cover back in 2004 and promptly suffered a broken leg, missing the first 11 games of the season.
Vince Young's quad, chance injury or Madden curse?
I believe it's a curse, Wilbur.
OBJ will not avoid the Madden curse.
This became a topic that everyone was talking about, including players and fans. So when the 08 cover was in development, fans took it into their own hands to try and stop this curse for good. At the time, EA offered the 08 Madden cover spot to LaDainian Tomlinson. He was coming off a record-breaking MVP season and was already one of the best running backs in league history. So it just made sense. EA was offering LaDainian $200,000 just to be pictured on the game. But was it worth it? Charger fans didn't think so. A fan named Nick Cuppolo was
That's not a lot of money, EA. $200,000 just to be on the cover of Madden? That's not a lot of money, yo.
convinced the curse was real, and he didn't want to see his favorite player become a victim. So he started an online petition saying,
thinking about how much they sell.
I plan to forward this petition to EA to try and convince them to choose another candidate for the
Well, I mean, nowadays, you got to think it's probably like, they probably gave Lamar Jackson a few mil, you know what I'm saying? Because they do microtransactions now, so different time.
cover of Madden. And this petition caused a lot of commotion online and in the NFL, leading LT to consult with his manager, ultimately deciding it'd be better for his career to not risk anything. Imagine turning down an opportunity like this. Being on the cover of Madden.
Yeah, I'm
is
not
something
turning that down, though.
Every NFL pro dreams of.
Fuck a curse.
But with the world starting to see the curse, that started changing. This is how real the Madden curse is, man. And this is where people and the pros started to believe in it. But not everyone was convinced yet. And Madden games sell themselves. Doesn't matter who's on the cover. So EA didn't really care, and they went with Vince Young instead. But what's really interesting about
He was a
Vince
bust.
Young is how he decided to handle this curse. He did an interview with Jimmy Kimmel to talk about the season.
He had
and the
like,
Madden
you
cover.
know, some
And Jimmy
anxiety
asked him about
problems
the
or something, you
curse.
know, stuff
I mean,
like
it's
that.
scaring everyone. Was Vince worried about it? Well, he clearly wasn't too worried, because he decided to mock the curse in front of the entire world.
You know, there's a curse associated with this game, and every year guys say I'm not worried about it, and then every year something seems to happen.
Well, I done prayed about it, and we're going to go on and try to get to the playoffs and try to get to the Super Bowl. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. But if something happens, God forbid, will you blame the game for this?
No, you know, definitely won't do that, but you know.
won't?
No, not at all.
Okay, well, I will.
I don't know if that was a good idea, Vince.
He didn't mock it.
After this happened, the curse went to work. Vince had the slowest start he ever had to a season. And just a few weeks in, he suffered a
59
devastating
is you.
quad injury. Vince figured it was just a coincidence, and he took a few weeks to recover and was ready to go. But his first game back, Vince injured himself again. The Titans knew something was going on, and they didn't want to take any more chances that year. So they sent Vince to the bench, and he went from a starter to a backup quarterback. And that's how he played out the rest of the season. Damn, 2 injuries, losing your spot on the roster. It can't get worse, right? Well, after a year of sitting on the sidelines, the Titans decided to give him one more chance to redeem himself. Going into the next season, Vince was the starting quarterback once again, and he was ready to prove that this curse is nothing but nonsense. Playing in the opening game of the season against the Jaguars, Vince was off to a strong start. The Titans were up 17-10, and things were actually going
Damn,
his
I remember
way.
Garrard.
But one play changed everything. Down the stretch in the third quarter, Jaguars linebacker Dale Smith collided with Vince's left leg, sending Vince down with a knee injury. He was only supposed to be out 2 to 3 weeks, but
Oh my
Coach
goodness.
Jeff Fisher decided to bring in a new quarterback instead. For the next year and a half, Kerry Collins took over the spot. But in 2009, the Titans started the season 0-6 with Kerry Collins. So Vince got a call that he was getting another chance. And as soon as he got off the phone, he went to work.
I like them
He turned
jerseys.
the Titans around, won 8 out of 10 games, and led them to an 8-8 record. It wasn't great, but things were at least looking bright for Vince until the next season. The Titans started that year off 4-5, and in week 11, it happened again. During a game against the Redskins, Vince suffered a torn flexor tendon in his throwing hand. He went to the locker room, got his hand evaluated, taped up, and then returned to the field to play.
It's unfortunate
Coach
as
Jeff
fuck.
Fisher said no. He was getting injured too often. So Vince threw his uniform and pads in the crowd and stormed out. He knew this was the beginning of the end for his career. He was
Damn.
done for most of the season, and Vince never truly recovered from this. He went from throwing 2,500 yards in a season with the Titans to 866 with the Eagles. The man threw 4 touchdowns and 9 interceptions in 6 games. So with no teams wanting him, he retired from the NFL just a couple of years later. And just like that, Vince became another victim of the Madden curse.
Crazy.
At this point, 9 out of 10 cover athletes have had their career ruined. But that was all years ago. It still could just be a coincidence, right? What about present day? Well, from 2010 to 2018, it kept happening. Careers and lives were being ruined. An injury to Troy Polamalu, the worst season of Drew Brees and Peyton Hillis' career, injury and scandals coming out of nowhere to Adrian Peterson, Odell Beckham Jr. on top of the league. Then boom, injuries and a team switch that left him trapped to this day. Rob Gronkowski was the face of the league. He made the cover, and the curse hit him harder than any defensive player ever could. Injury after injury, forced to watch the Super Bowl from the sidelines, and eventually forced into retirement. The curse struck again and again. But if you're still not convinced, there's one more player who was affected by this curse.
Damn, my nigga AB.
In 2018, Antonio Brown was having an unreal year.
Literally the best year possible.
Passes for 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. And he was already doing this for
be
a
at the
record
bowl
amount
now.
of seasons in a row. So it's only right Madden made him the cover athlete. But even though he was great throughout the season, coming into the final week of the year is where things got weird. Antonio started causing drama in the locker room, and a heated argument between him and Ben Roethlisberger got Antonio benched. His teammates blamed the $68 million contract getting to his head, but others felt something else was going on. And after making the cover of Madden 19, Antonio started skipping practices and demanded to be traded that offseason. And shortly after, Antonio was traded to the Raiders, and more eyes were on him.
This is a
than
crazy
ever.
saga,
But
man.
what's different with Antonio's situation is that you could actually see the curse get a hold of him. Coming into training camp, Antonio was diagnosed with the most random health concern possible for someone in his shoes. After going through cryotherapy treatment, his feet attracted an unusual frostbite, which didn't really make sense. But
They said he went there with no socks
details
on.
of a Madden game, ironically, the EA game runs on a software engine called Frostbite. It's like this curse was showing itself to the world. After this happened, you could tell the pressure of this superstition was on Antonio's mind at all times. And during that offseason, things got even weirder. It's common for the NFL to make uniform rule adjustments, and coming into the next season, they banned players from wearing certain helmets featured on Madden covers, one of which was Antonio's favorite. So this pushed things over the top. Random injuries, the NFL placing bans. Antonio saw these weird things happening as signs from above. So he freaked out and made headlines saying that he was retiring from football if he wasn't allowed to wear his helmet. At the time, no one understood why this helmet meant so much to him, but it was because he was so comfortable wearing it, and switching to something else would risk him making mistakes in the field. And with the Madden curse in full effect, Antonio didn't want to take any more chances. It was more than football at stake. His life was on the line that season.
That's a
But
fact.
the NFL wouldn't budge. They denied Antonio's request to wear his own helmet, but he couldn't just sit back and accept that. So Antonio looked for any reason to get out of playing that season. He started beefing with new teammates, skipping practices, and he was fined tens of thousands of dollars for this. And if that wasn't enough, Antonio went on Twitter and Instagram rants bashing his team and the league.
Yeah, he was
With
going
that,
wild. He was going
dropped from the
crazy.
Raiders without playing a single game. But the curse knew Antonio was onto it, so it followed him into his life outside of football. And things only got worse for Antonio moving forward. Scandals came out, and his career was officially ruined. Antonio was kicked out of the NFL, and to this day, no one can explain what was going on with him. The only explanation that makes sense is that the curse struck once again. And the same
You
goes
can't
for
blame
the
that
most
on the
recent
curse.
cover athlete, Lamar Jackson. He became a face of Madden after an MVP season, where he threw over 3,000 yards and rushed for over 1,000. But after Lamar made the cover, it was brought up that he was facing more than just the Madden curse. Lamar didn't deal with any serious injury during the season, but he did get COVID, and that's nothing to take lightly. And just when you think he escaped the curse, in the biggest game of his career, it happened. Lamar had a bad snap go over his head as he chased the ball down. so he threw the ball.
Oh,
out
yeah,
of
he got the
bounds.
concussion,
And
I
as he
think.
did that, boom. He took a hit from 2 Bills defenders and laid on the turf as if he got struck by lightning. Lamar was diagnosed with a concussion, so only time will tell how this affects his career moving forward. Coming into this video, I wasn't sure how real a curse could be, but 17 out of the 23 cover athletes had their careers ruined, or at least horribly affected. That's a 74% chance that if you make the cover of Madden, your career...
That is fucking
won't
crazily
survive.
high.
Does
Like,
sound
that's a
crazy,
high percentage.
you know? I don't know if it's the pressure or coincidence, but I think it's safe to say this curse is very real. And to the next Madden cover, I wish you luck, man. But, you know, some players don't need a curse to ruin their career. They did it themselves. So to find out how, click on this video. Whether they gained hundreds of pounds or became...
What y'all think, yo? Madden Curse. I wonder who's gonna be on the next cover of Madden. They need to just holler at me, cause I be beating niggas' asses in Madden. Let me know what I should react to next. Until next time, it's the world.